Welcome to episode 302 of Hit the Ropes Radio. This is Shane Howard, to broadcasting live to you. Ooh, little stumble there, still a little rusty. But how's everybody doing tonight out there in YouTube land? Hoping that everybody's good. Probably just finished watching a little Survivor, maybe finished watching Lucha Underground if you're into wrestling, or probably, the big wrestling one would probably be NXT. So you probably saw Ty Dillinger winning his match. Um, Samoa Joe continuing to wreak havoc on people. So we are going to talk about Raw. We're going to talk about SmackDown. We've already covered Clash of Champions. So if you missed that show, please do check the archives because you'd want to, hear myself, Darius, Courtney, and Mr. Demetrius Stokes. You'd want to hear us and our thoughts on the Clash of Champions. But Mr. Courtney is going to be a little late, so I'm starting the show by myself, and we are going to go straight into my takeaways from this past couple days of Raw and SmackDown. So we had a pretty sleepy episode of Monday Night Raw. It went right up against the debates and Monday Night Football. So it really was event-filled night in entertainment. Even Monday Night Football had some pretty low ratings because 84 million people were tuning in to see Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton. So, it makes sense that the WWE did not put on their best episode, but the episode that was presented to us still left a lot to be desired. It's one of those episodes where it really feels like 3 hours. I'm not a fan of the 3 hour show. That's why I prefer watching SmackDown. And when Raw's like that, it's really really painful to watch. But there were some good moments. Definitely some good moments. We had the Kevin Owens and Chris Jericho talking segment that was entertaining. We had a good main event match between previously mentioned um, the previously mentioned Kevin Owens and Chris Jericho, along as they fought the team of Big Cass and Enzo Amore. So if you are out there listening now, I'm sending out this tweet. Join us, tell your friends, and also tell your friends and yourself that when you listen to us on iTunes, we are now on iTunes, we're on Stitcher, you're obviously listening here on YouTube. If you get us on iTunes, please rate us, preferably 5 stars, trying to get that rating up. And for those who give us some good ratings and some good feedback, you'll get a little shout out on the air. Not trying to bribe you, but trying to bribe you. You know what I'm saying? So I'm gonna go straight into my takeaways until Courtney joins me. And I was definitely concerned a little bit about the whole cruiserweight presentation on Raw. It was one of the things that I was definitely looking forward to. But since we've been seeing Raw and the cruiserweights, it's left a lot to be desired. I'm not entirely sure where they plan on going with this. If this is just we're going to throw these guys out, We're gonna have one or two matches every Monday night, and it will be a lot of flippy stuff, and the crowds will cheer for the big spots, and that's it. Because that's a lot of what we're seeing. And I know it's early, which is why I'm pretty glad to see the continuation of the Brian Kendrick and TJ Perkins stuff, because at least we're getting some kind of a storyline. But is it just going to be that one storyline with the cruiserweight champion and everybody else that we see in the cruiserweight division just be spot monkeys, if you will? I'm hoping that's not the case. We need some more background on these guys. We need some character depth. We got to have the crowd have a reason to cheer for whichever guy it may be, whether it's Cedric Alexander, Lince Dorado, Grand Metalik, whoever it is that is coming through those curtains. The audience needs a reason to become invested in them, and we haven't seen that yet. Yeah, they give us a little video package, but everybody might not have been watching the WWE network to see the Cruiserweight Classic. So if you're throwing TJ Perkins out there, who is your Cruiserweight champion, by the way, if you're just throwing him out there and the crowd doesn't know who this guy is other than the one time that they saw him on the pay-per-view, it's not going to be this great reception, because you have to remember some of these guys, when they were wrestling in other promotions, those promotions were well, not weren't, they aren't at the height of the WWE. TJ Perkins was in TNA, so yes, he was in a much bigger company as opposed to some of the indie wrestling federations. But when he was in WWE, he was behind a mask. So most people don't even probably know how TJ Perkins had looked before this whole Cruiserweight Classic, or until they saw him on Clash of Champions. So they have to do something with these guys, because a lot of them have some good stories. A lot of them are some interesting characters, and you can do a lot with them. It's just going to take some time, and I'm hoping that in the coming weeks we get to see a little bit more from the WWE in terms of what they're going to do with these guys, because they definitely steal the show when they go out there. But it's a matter of, what else do you have? Are we just going to just flip and do some tope suicido, and the crowd is going to root for the big spots, but then after that it's just, okay, CM Punk, or Macho Man, or Hulk, whoever else they want to chant for. That shouldn't be happening when we're seeing that awesome wrestling. I'm hoping that the cruiserweight division gets to be like how it was in WCW, when that was the focus for a lot of viewers, and not just time fillers. Now, my second takeaway from the world of WWE is Bailey. Bailey, one of the biggest NXT stars. She came onto the scene on the Monday Night Raw, and people were waiting for this debut. Bailey has one of the biggest followings in the WWE in terms of the women. She could be possibly the biggest women wrestler in WWE history. She came in, she got into the feud immediately with Charlotte. She's helped Sasha Banks. There's little friction sometimes with her and Sasha Banks, but now after this latest title, this triple threat match, now we're seeing her wrestling. Who was it? Anna Fields or something, like Mrs. Fields. Is she a baker? Is she a wrestler? I'm not sure. But is she now going to go down the road that we see of Nia Jax, or Braun Strowman, where she's gonna, I guess, are they gonna start establishing her by having her face some enhancement talents? I'm not entirely sure where they're going. Obviously, this was just the one match, but we need to see a little bit more from Bailey, because again, she could be the biggest women wrestler in the WWE history. She is so personable, she's so likable, and the little kids just love her. So she could definitely be this big thing. I'm hoping that she's not just going to be thrown out there and just doing random matches. That they give her some time to talk, even though Bailey's not the best talker. That they give her some time to talk, give her some time to show that spunk and that underdog mentality that made her the big star that she was in NXT, and the reason why so many people wanted her to come up to the main roster. And with that, I'm now joined by the big man, Courtney McIntosh. What's up, my brother?
Yo.
Thanks for joining us.
Sorry I'm late.
I know it's 9 o'clock Eastern. You're what, in the Central Time Zone, so it's okay.
No, I'm Eastern.
Well, then that's a demerit, sir.
Roger that. I'll take my demerit, and I will work to not be late again. Zumba. Well, long story short, I was at the gym, so.
All right, no problem. Well, I've already started. I've given 2 of my takeaways. I'm pretty sure those who are viewing probably don't want to hear my voice for a few minutes, so I'm gonna let your to recap. I mentioned the fact that I'm not particularly happy right now with what they're doing with the cruiserweight division, as well as what they're doing. So yeah, I'm kind of confused as to what they're doing with Bailey. So jump right in. Give us your takeaways from Raw, SmackDown, whatever has happened since Clash of Champions, sir.
Okay, I also agree with your I don't like what they're doing with Bailey either. It's very peculiar to me. Like they make her this plucky underdog, and they hype her up so much her first 3 weeks on the roster, and then really nothing. She has pinned Charlotte in a tag match, but like I said on the live show Sunday, I didn't like the women, which is bananas for me, because I always like the women's matches, especially with those 3. I didn't like that. The match on Raw was kind of odd. It was almost a glorified I don't want to say squash, but it kind of was. I forgot the female jobber's name, but she got a little bit of offense in, and then it was like Bailey kind of like recovered. Bailey had her Super Cena moment on Raw. It was just like she recovered like super fast, and it was over. So I agree with your sentiments on Bailey. However, I differ my sentiments on the cruiserweight. It's funny how our first 2 takes were actually kind of like the same. Like, I differ on the cruiserweights. Now I see that they don't have any direction really, and they're just putting them out there to just have matches. But they've been some damn good matches. Can I say damn on the show?
Yes, you can. It's after.
Okay. All right. But they've been some really good matches, like that tag match. Man, Cedric Alexander is, man, hey, that dude is sweet. But I did give I know we'll get to our 3 stars later, and I did give a cruiserweight one of my 3 stars for this week. But I just like the fact that they're putting the cruiserweights out there and actually letting them get a little bit of time, because that tag match went 2.5 segments, and then T.J. Perkins and Tony Nese had a very good match either. Also, I can't believe I just said either, but they had a very good match also. So I'm glad that they didn't, bring the cruiserweights to Raw and then just, have them sit. I'm glad that we're actually seeing them, seeing what the guys could do. And, they've been providing us with some very good action. Very good action. So those are my first two takes align with yours, but, what's your third take?
My third take, I'm checking my pad right here, trying to make sure I defer just a little bit from you. My third take is going to go to SmackDown. For those who might have watched last night, first of all, there weren't that many matches on SmackDown, which was, for a 2-hour show, I was just like, whoa, am I watching TNA here for a second? But one of the big things that I'm taking from SmackDown was the Dolph Ziggler Miz feud, and now it's escalated to the point where Dolph has decided to put his career on the line. This could be the moment where there's a little tweak in the Dolph character, because God knows he needs a switch.
Oh, yes.
I don't like the fact that because his career is now supposedly on the line, does this mean that the Miz loses the championship? Because I prefer the current Miz incarnation. I don't want him to lose the title right now. He's perhaps my favorite champion in the WWE on the main roster, and that's saying a lot, because I'm loving the Rhino and Heath Slater pairing, and you've also got Kevin Owens as the Universal Champion. So I don't want to see the Miz lose the title, but I'm interested to see what they do with Dolph Ziggler, because I really wanted him to be a heel a while back. I don't know if him putting his career on the line now is going to make him go the heel route or just make him stay the babyface route. But he needs a switch. He needs a switch up, and this looks like the WWE's way of doing something. Hopefully, unless he gets fired and then comes back as a golf caddy or something.
Yeah, it's funny how on the live show Sunday we were talking about how sometimes the New Day can be very stale, and I've thought Dolph Ziggler has been stale for a long time. I liked heel Ziggler, that's his Twitter handle, but I like heel Dolph. The way he because he oozes charisma, and I think his charisma works more as a heel than it does as a babyface, because to me, he's like your typical generic babyface. When he gets on the mic, every time he gets on the mic, it's always rah rah rah. He can sell moves like nobody's business. He makes everybody look good, other than Dean Ambrose. But he is just a generic babyface, He had a little personality as a heel. He definitely had a personality with Vicky, but ever since he's turned babyface, like, I've been rooting for Dolph, and it's like, man, So now my third take. All my takes are from Raw, because I'll be honest, I didn't have enough time to catch SmackDown. Work's been crazy, so. So Raw, Kevin Owens and Chris Jericho, I enjoy the tandem a little bit, but sometimes it's kind of like, and mostly from Jericho, it's a little bit on the corny side, because Jericho does tell dad jokes in the ring. But the thing that kind of helps that is like the looks on Kevin Owens' face when Chris does his like jokes. Like, it was a little segment at the beginning of the tag team match on Raw where Kaz gave Jericho a boot, and he like crawled over to the corner and basically put his face in Kevin Owens like crotch, and KO just looked down looked up with this look on his face and just pulled his head up and was like, "Tag me," And it's like I like that pairing with each other. But sometimes like I like Kevin Owens talking. I don't necessarily like Chris Jericho and Kevin Owens talking with each other, because both of those guys are really good on the mic, and I preferred Enzo during their little back and forth on Raw this week. And it was good seeing Enzo and Big Cass because we hadn't seen them in 2 weeks on Raw. So yeah, I mean that's my third take. Just I don't know what they're gonna do with this this Kevin Owens Chris Jericho pairing. I thought for a second that Jericho was gonna turn on him because it was just this one segment where Kevin Owens was talking to Enzo and Cass, and Jericho, kind of like interrupted, and he was behind Kevin Owens, and it was like perfect set. I was like, oh man, code breaker coming right here, and it didn't happen, of course. But it's just, what are they going to do with them long term? That's my question.
Well, I'm not entirely sure what they're going to do with them. I do see down the line that they could possibly have perhaps Jericho turn on Owens, depending on how long Owens holds on to that title. People are going to have that in the back of their mind, like which one of these best friends will turn on the other one first. But I want to mention, shout out to everybody that is currently chatting with us live on YouTube. If you are listening, join the chat, and thank you for sending out those tweets. We've got a few people listening live, some of the HTR family, if you will. We've got Hot Dog as usual, got Jen, the first lady of HTR, up in the house. We've got Kevin Carter. We've even got the other co-hosts who are supposedly taking the night off, but they're in there chatting as well. And I want to mention a couple things that were said in the chat room. Hot Dog was mentioning that for Bayley, they should probably put her in a feud with Nia Jax right after Nia is done facing Alicia Fox. That could be a feud that can go for a couple months with a Bayley and a Nia Jax.
I actually think that would be interesting because it gives them a perfect way to play on Bayley's little, upstart pluckiness, her little underdog character that they're branding her with. So that would actually be pretty interesting.
Yeah, I want to mention that, and Kevin Carter is mentioning that the best thing that happened this week in Raw happened on Talking Smack, where John Cena cut a promo pretty much on Dean Ambrose. Dean, well, you missed SmackDown, but Dean, made sure he mentioned the fact that he beat John Cena last week. So I guess Cena took offense to the comments that Dean Ambrose has been saying. I didn't watch Talking Smack myself. I do know that from time to time there are some good segments on there, like the whole Miz stuff versus Daniel Bryan started kind of like on Talking Smack. So I probably need to start watching that.
It's actually been I enjoy watching Talking Smack when I catch it, just because I like seeing wrestlers, and I like seeing them in that kind of like relaxed, almost interview, well, not almost interview, but interview setting, kind of like the Stone Cold podcast almost.
Yeah. As long as they're, I like those segments where it's not so much it sounds so scripted. When there's that fire and it just seems authentic, even though it might be a work shoot, those to me work the best. And that's what I see sometimes on the whole Talking Smack episodes. But let's switch gears.
Mm-hmm.
We've been talking about WWE, and they're not the only ones making some news this past week, even though they're involved in this other news. But there's some rumblings going on that the company from Charlotte, TNA, no, not Charlotte, Nashville. Ugh, know my geography. Nashville. You got TNA, which is possibly up for sale. Now we're always, it's like every year we hear that TNA is for sale or
Right.
TNA is going down the tube.
Right.
But it seems to be ramping up like really hard this time, and it, from what I'm reading, it's like these guys probably don't even have enough money to cover the next few live events or Bound for Glory, which is their WrestleMania. So what are your thoughts on the possible sale of TNA? And are you happy for it? Are you sad? What are your thoughts on this?
Okay, so at first I really didn't care because I don't watch TNA anymore. I haven't watched TNA in years. But now that you hear that WWE is actually considering buying them, this is the first time, all of the TNA rumors, all the sale rumors that we've heard regarding TNA, we've never heard WWE jumping into the fray. And from what I was reading earlier, apparently Dixie Carter was only considering, WWE's offer if it was a last minute thing. And according to what I was reading today, it's now like a very real thing. Like it's a very real possibility that WWE, TNA will, could take WWE's offer. I think that, and I know we were talking earlier about what if they did an Invasion 2.0, if they did acquire the company. And, I just think that would, okay, I'm jumping into a little fantasy booking. Okay, so it's sad because it's some good guys that wrestle in TNA. It always has been. It sucks that, they can't afford to pay their guys, and they can't afford. I read the same thing you did today. That said they don't even have the money to put on Bound for Glory this Sunday, let alone the live shows after that. So it's kind of like an all around sucky situation for the guys over there that they work their butts off to kind of give good quality wrestling. And from what I understand, the wrestling on the show has gotten better. And it's not all broken Matt Hardy, although broken Matt Hardy is hot in the streets right now. So,
Yes,
that's
yes. Sorry, had to jump in. Yes, he is.
Oh no, go ahead.
Go continue.
Oh no, I was actually ending on that just because, like I said, I don't really. Only thing I know about TNA right now is what I read on the interwebs. So I do read kind of like the reviews or the spoilers or whatever, just like I do for NXT most of the time. But that's pretty much my sentiments on TNA. It sucks for the guys that are there, like I said, that are working their butts off and grinding every day, every week to put on good shows for the people who do come and watch, because they do have fans. But I guess it is what it is, and I guess I wouldn't want WWE to acquire them because I don't want WWE to just have a monopoly on everything. Because I don't have the El Rey network. Everybody tells me Lucha Underground is hot fire, but I don't have El Rey, so I can't watch it. I don't have whatever channel ROH comes on. So I would like something other than WWE when I have an opportunity to watch it.
Well, I'm in agreement with you in the fact that I kind of don't want WWE to buy them because, first of all, I'm not a big fan of the 3 hours of Raw, and then the next night we have 2 hours of SmackDown, and then the next night there's 1 hour of NXT, and then we have a pay-per-view every 2 weeks. There's a lot of WWE produced TV right now, and I'm not, I don't want to see more of it. sure, WWE can sign, sign on the dotted line and take over control of Impact, and then what? It's going to look like the WWE's version of ECW.
Right.
Yeah, I don't want to see that. I don't want to suddenly see in a six-sided ring a vampire. You know, that's not the route I want to go. Even though I was a fan of Kevin Thorne, flashback,
Right.
but I it's sad because out of the four of us, I'm the one who's watching TNA, and I do it weekly. I'm making sure that they get their live +3 for those who do the whole Nielsen and all that. I make sure they get their live +3 ratings because I will DVR it, but I will watch it within the first 3 days. Um, I tend to watch it, late at night, so I don't have to interrupt my fiance. So once she goes to bed, it's like me watching TNA because she can't stand the company. She doesn't like Dixie Carter. She feels that
Really?
yes. When she was watching it with me weekly, she was just like Dixie Carter is annoying. So I watch it. The show has gotten much better. The wrestling is for the most part is still good. Their knockouts division has gone down, while the WWE's divas has gone up. So
They're not divas anymore.
yeah, sorry, the WWE women division has gone up while the knockouts has gone down. That's bad. But they got rid of that stupid red belt, but they brought in this new title where now they're doing these rounds like you're in a UFC boxing kind of match, where there's judges decisions and all of that. I'm not a big fan of that, but at least it's making sure that these guys are going to be wrestling hard for the 10 minutes that they're there.
Okay.
So with all these things going, I want the company to continue succeeding because it's now looking more like an alternative to WWE than when it was before, trying to be like a WWE light.
Yeah.
And of course, like the broken Matt Hardy stuff, so they have some interesting things going on. It sucks to hear that their financial issues continue. I would like to see, perhaps the WWE do what they were doing at one point with ECW, where Vince was helping ECW stay alive. If that can happen, great. If Billy Corgan can end up buying it, okay. I'm not a big fan of Billy Corgan either. He needs to stay off of the TV.
No, I have no idea who Billy Corgan is, but I was reading that pretty much the entire roster wants him to own the company outright.
Well, he's a big fan of professional wrestling. He's a front man for what was it, Smashing Pumpkins? I'm not
Okay. I was wondering why that name sounded familiar.
You listen to Smashing Pumpkins?
I don't listen to Smashing Pumpkins, but I am a music fan in general, so I do know who they are. So
yeah, so he's in there already. He's
okay,
supposedly the president now on camera and all of that. I think he has some shares in the company, but he's trying to get the majority ownership. So he's got his money there. There's also like Aerolux, which is the company where oh my god, what are the name of those brothers? Was it the Harris brothers from back in the day? Like they're with Aerolux, and then there's WWE. So those are like the three names, but the big two is Billy Corgan and the WWE. I really just would like TNA to continue. It gives me an alternative. There are some good things that happen from time to time, but like the funny thing would be, imagine if the WWE gets TNA, Cody Rhodes leaves the WWE,
Yeah.
And now he's just been signed to TNA, so he would get right back into the WWE if that was to happen. You know, Darius brought up that point earlier when we were talking about the show.
Right.
I found that hilarious. And the same thing with like guys like Ethan Carter III. He was in the WWE. They didn't do anything with him. He goes to TNA. He becomes this big star. You know,
That's one guy who left WWE, him and Drew Galloway. But Ethan Carter III is one guy who left WWE and like flourished. You know, he was like, I loved watching him as a heel, and you know I would catch him just because you know the Twitter sphere like would fawn over him. So you know I did catch a lot of his you know heel antics, like you know in the beginning, and then when he was champ. And then did they turn him babyface or no?
Drew Galloway is now heel again, and
Okay.
Ethan Carter is now a babyface. And speaking of these WWE guys, I forgot to mention Damian Sandow's over there,
Right.
and he's a babyface. But it's crazy if you watch TNA with Damian Sandow. It's like this guy was like the hottest dude for a minute in WWE,
Mm-hmm.
and now he's just some regular looking dude over in TNA. There's no wow factor to seeing, Aaron Rex. Sorry, that's his new name, Aaron Rex.
Uh,
No wow factor there whatsoever.
I kind of miss Mizdow, man. Just you know I think and that's the thing about WWE that you know we have look 5 hours of main roster show during the week, and they couldn't find you know 10 minutes for Mizdow every week. They couldn't find 10 minutes for Cody every week. It's just look, man. I like Neville, but I'm not tuning in to Raw to watch Neville. I'm not tuning in to Raw to see a Neville promo, man. You know, I'll see Neville do that red arrow, you know, but it's like the guy like Cody even before he was Stardust. I enjoyed Cody as a character, you know, dashing, you know, then when he was disfigured, Cody Rhodes, you know, his little feud with Rey Mysterio, and then his little partnership with Sandow. It was just I enjoyed those guys. Those guys that I enjoyed that you know WWE wasted, and now they go over to TNA, and some of them flourish. Some of them like you know Sandow just are regular dudes, you know. And I do know Lashley is the champ over there, right?
Yes, he is.
Okay.
He's doing amazing work over there. Even his promos are better.
Really?
Yes.
Okay. Like I mean, okay. All right. I was about to say something about Sasha Banks and promos, but you know, I'm not going to just because I love Sasha. I don't want to bash her just in case she's there.
Like I said, even his promos has gotten better. Now, is he knocking them out in the park every night? No, but for Bobby Lashley's thing when it came to his promos before was it just didn't seem natural,
Right.
for this big dude and the way he was coming off. But now he's killing it especially in terms of where he came from. He is killing it.
Right.
He's been a great champion. He's been a dominant champion. And I'm interested. So
Uh,
there's our TNA discussion. I know there was somebody who was tweeting us, who wanted to get into the conversation about Matt Hardy. It's Mally version 1. She said she had disagreed with what we said about Matt Hardy on Sunday. I'm not entirely sure what was said, who she's disagreeing with. I know I was, giving.
it's probably Stokes because he's the only person that threw the Matt Hardy hate on Sunday. I know it was Stokes. So yeah, he was hating on Hardy hard. So She probably had the vitriol for him, and it's well warranted. If anybody knows Stokes, he deserves whatever vitriol you can give him.
It might be. He did mention that in the chat room that he mentioned he didn't like the Matt Hardy gimmick. So maybe that's what she's not a fan of, because her name is Mally version 1.
Ah.
So she's probably a Matt Hardy fan. So let's now move on. We want to do something, a segment that we haven't really done in the past, and it's a little bit of a fantasy booking. I know you kind of alluded to that earlier. So we're gonna get into a little fantasy booking where we're gonna pick one current feud, and we're gonna tell how we would have liked it to go, or how do we want it to go from here. And we have a sponsor for this. So our fantasy booking segment, is that the official name, fantasy booking? I don't think our producer came up with the official name, but we're gonna go with fantasy booking.
Yeah, I think we can go with that.
All right. So our fantasy booking segment is brought to you by McMahon's Grapefruits. Breakfast is the most important meal of the day, so be sure to start your day off right. Grab yourself a couple of McMahon's Grapefruits, organic and locally grown. One of McMahon's Grapefruits will fill you with your daily recommended amount of vitamin C. All right.
That's gold. Got to have you some McMahon's Grapefruits in the morning.
Yep. Get McMahon Grapefruits and a bowl of Bootios, and you're good to go.
Yep.
All right. So
you want to start this off, or
I'm going to defer to you. I've got one in my head, but I'm going to defer to you.
Okay. So if there was a current feud that I was to fantasy book, it would be the New Day and the Club. Now I gave you guys some of my thoughts on the New Day on Sunday. I love the New Day. I bought the shirt. I've been on an active search for a box of Bootios. But to me, they've kind of gotten a little stale, and I don't like the fact that they built the Club up to be these badasses, and they lose to the New. Now, the first thing about the New Day. Now, I don't like the fact that they're babyface. Even though I can tolerate them being babyface, I thought they were funnier as heels. I also thought that they used their numbers advantage, and that was the thing I kept harping on Sunday. Like, now that now that they're baby faces, they don't use their numbers advantage. It's like it doesn't exist anymore. And so I would have had New Day drop the titles to the Club, a month ago when the feud first started, because it looked like they were building the Club up, and then they lose. Then it looks like they took Big E out. And, it looks like they're going to just, stump a mud hole in Kofi and X, and they lose. Then they, dressed up in lab coats talking about balls, and they lose. Then they start the match on Sunday at, is it Night of Champions? I keep wanting to say Clash of Champions. That was WCW. But, at Night of Champions, they start off, like a house of fire, wrecking shop on a New Day, and they lose. So it's like, what do you do with the Club now? What I would do is I would have had the Club. First of all, they need a third member. And there's nobody really on the roster who I could think of to be that third member other than Finn Balor, but, we all know he's hurt. And AJ Styles is on SmackDown. So what to do with the Club? They got to get some underhanded tactics to beat the New Day. I think, there should be low blows. They need maybe a female valet to come distract the referee, something. But they need the belts, I believe, to stay believable. New Day doesn't need the belts right now. New Day is hot I can't say whenever they touch that microphone, but it was a point in time where I was only turning in the Raw to watch the New Day just because they were that good on the microphone. And they carried the show. And like I told y'all Sunday, I think they carried the show like from May through, well, no, I'm sorry, not May, from like January through July of this year. New Day was carrying Monday Night Raw, and probably even longer than that, in my opinion. But now I don't think they need the belts because they're already hot. They're still going to sell merchandise, but they need to have, at Hell in a Cell, they need to have like a tag team championship match, and it just be two guys from the New Day. Whoever's not in the match can't be at ringside to nullify that numbers advantage. And then I think you got to put the club over. Maybe, they bring somebody up from NXT, or maybe, well, I wouldn't say Baron Corbin because he's on SmackDown. So maybe they bring somebody up from NXT to be, the third member. Maybe they sign somebody, but I think the club and the New Day kind of need a refresh, and it looked like they were refreshing the club, but then again, they lost. So that's my fantasy booking for tonight. I would fantasy book the club cheating, using underhanded heel tactics, really vicious like, to beat the New Day for the tag team champions at Hell in a Cell.
Well, that's probably why it's fantasy, because the way it looks, it's like the Cesaro-Sheamus tandem is probably next in line for a tag title shot, and they might end up winning it. So, fantasy.
I have to say that I loved their match on Raw against the, it was, matching jobbers, but, I love the fact that they were trying to one-up each other in that match. Every time somebody did something the other person did, had to one-up it. So I love that. And I actually hope that they're the tag team champions by year's end. I think it's a good way to refresh Sheamus, because people, can yell, you look stupid at Sheamus all they want, but, I think Sheamus is a good wrestler, and he can talk. Cesaro can't talk that much. I think the both of them will go well together as like as a legit powerhouse tag team that can actually wrestle. So that's me. That's fantasy book. That's Big Mac's fantasy booking for the night.
All right. Okay. As for myself, I'm gonna go to the SmackDown side of things, and I'm as much as a fan of Bray Wyatt as I am. The Bray Wyatt Randy Orton feud isn't working for me. Bray Wyatt for me has become so repetitive. It's getting like pointless to even watch. It's Bray Wyatt comes on the screen, he says some eloquent but confusing stuff, and he wrestles whoever he's wrestling on a pay-per-view. In between that, he's gonna do some spooky stuff where he might attack them after the lights turn off and come back on. But it's becoming all repetitive with Bray Wyatt. I'm not entirely sure why this didn't take off as good as it should have, because this guy, for one, has the entire audience at one point was in the palm of his hand when he was doing his promos. We got the cameras on when he comes out for his entrance. I still remember, with the whole world in his hands thing. He's got I see you with your phone. He's got the whole wide world in his hands. That stuff right there, that was like some good stuff. But it's just like we haven't progressed. And this feud with Orton is it's just boring to me, and yeah, Orton hasn't always been the most entertaining guy. So, there's that, but I'm putting a lot of the blame on Bray himself, because his character hasn't really done much for me recently. So I just want them to hurry up and burn through this feud, because I'm already tired of it. It's not wowing me in any way. It needs to be done with quick, fast, and in a hurry. What is it? 2 weeks until the pay-per-view? Let it be done there. Let Bray find some random person that he wants to attack next.
I think that, I agree with you about Bray. And I also think that one of the things that happened with him is maybe the WWE got scared of pushing a big guy like that to the championship. And then the fact he was a little injury prone for a second. Uh, but I think, Bray Wyatt should have been, in Kevin Owens' spot before Kevin Owens. And I say that as a guy who doesn't fit the typical wrestler profile. He's a big guy, a husky guy, but he can move like a gazelle in the ring. He doesn't move as good as KO, but the fact that he had a legit character and had the crowd eating out the palm of his hands. I agree with you that a lot of it was on Bray because his promos are the same every week. It seems like, oh man, I'm the world's man, ha ha ha. And then it's like it's the same thing. But I think he needs a little bit of a refresh. But I totally agree with you with this Orton Bray Wyatt feud. And it's funny because before Sunday, if you would have asked me this question, I would have said, I can't wait till the Sheamus Cesaro feud is over. But then Sunday they put on a match that, like, damn, that was a good ass match. Probably to me the best match of the card, but I totally agree with you on Bray Wyatt, Randy Orton. I think there's like really nobody in the company more than like Ziggler and Wyatt who need character refreshes.
Well, Darius mentions in the chat room that he's not faulting Bray himself. He's faulting more of the guys behind the scene, the booking, because he says nobody knows Bray's character better than Bray. And, it really does seem like this is the tongue-tied. It really does seem like this is from the mind of Bray Wyatt, this character. Yes, he takes a little bit from like a Waylon Mercy from back in the day and all of that, but this character really does seem like the brainchild of Bray Wyatt. So it really could be what creative is giving him. I'm not sure if creative is the one doing the promos for him, or that's all coming off the top of his dome. But if that is the case, then yeah, I'm gonna say that creative needs a kick in the ass. But that's the usual. Creative always needs a kick in the ass because they're always not creative in some regard.
Yeah, because I was going to say, we've seen this before with like guys who've self-made their own character, got themselves over only for WWE to take control of it and pretty much kill the entire character. I mean, look no further than Zack Ryder. I mean, Zack Ryder had me tuning in to his YouTube shows every week. He had everybody tuning into his YouTube shows every week. What happened? WWE started running it. And next thing you know, he was the third wheel in, a Cena Eve Torres triangle. So,
yeah. And Zach's interaction with Kane never made Zach be the same again. He ended up being tag partner with Mojo Rawley.
He's a hype bro.
He's a hype bro. He don't get hype. He stay hype.
Hey, you know it.
All right, so we're gonna close the show with our last segment, our 3 stars for the week. So this is gonna be the last 3 stars until next week, Wednesday, when you'll see the duo of Darius Brown and Demetrius Stokes. Next Wednesday, 9 o'clock, right here, same channel. Tell your friends. Don't forget to check out iTunes and Stitcher and Lisbon and Instagram. Follow us on Instagram. But, yeah, I'm going to remind you again before we get off, but we're getting to the last segment, which is our 3 stars. So, Mr. Courtney McIntosh, who your Who are you giving your first star to?
Well, after much deliberation, I'm going to give my first star to one cruiserweight, Tony Nese. Now, I had never heard of, because I didn't watch all of the Cruiserweight Classic, so I had never heard of him before. My first time seeing him wrestle was Monday on Raw against TJ Perkins. And damn, he put on a hell of a match with TJ Perkins. Just, some of the stuff like that he can do for a guy who he does, and it was mentioned on the broadcast, I want to say maybe by Saxton. He kind of has that Neville type of build, and he does, but he was doing power moves. We don't see Neville do power moves. He was breaking out some power moves. That little
Wait. Neville does, do that deadlift.
Oh yeah, that's right. I'm sorry, and that's dope, by the way. That deadlift belly to back. That's what you're talking about. Yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah, he does. But that little corkscrew somersault he did over the top ropes, I was like, damn, So, but all in all, he had a great match with TJ Perkins. I'll be honest, I'm not that sold on TJ Perkins as a cruiserweight champ. I actually think Cedric Alexander is the best cruiserweight they have. But yeah, my first star of the week goes to Tony Nese.
All right. Well, my first is going to go to another cruiserweight, but mine is going to go to a Brian Kendrick, the Brian Kendrick, for the simple fact that we're getting a little heel babyface dynamic in the cruiserweight division. I'm happy to see that it's not just going to be a bunch of flippy stuff, random matches. Brian Kendrick after the headbutt on Sunday night, and he follows it up with the little backstage conversation with TJ Perkins. So just for the fact that we're going to have a babyface heel teacher versus student, thanks to the Brian Kendrick, because he is established. The WWE fans know him. At least the WWE fans who are older, they know him. So, I'm going to give my first star to him.
And I wish they would mention him as the Brian Kendrick on television. They didn't do that once on Raw or on the pay-per-view. And it kind of perturbed me a little bit as one who is a stickler for particulars.
Ooh. Clyde the Glide? No, not Clyde the Glide. Walt. Yeah. Wrong.
Yeah.
Walt Frazier there. Sorry. All right. What about your second star, sir?
Okay, so my second star had to go to Kevin Owens because one, he's the champ. Two, he's just been. It's like every match that we see him in, you know what you're going to get from Kevin Owens. You're going to get quality work. You're going to get a guy. I mean, Kevin Owens' charisma is off the charts. The way he talks shit to people in the ring is just, I love it. Like, he was telling Enzo on Raw, oh, smack talker, I don't hear nothing. And it was just, Kevin Owens is, I would have to say, probably the best, overall badass character since Austin.
And he's got that brawler type, like Austin. So yeah.
Yep.
All right. Okay. My second is gonna go. I think they got some stars from you guys on Sunday, but I'm gonna go with the Usos, because now they got that different music. I'm so happy they changed the music because I was not a fan of the Usos getting their behinds kicked, and then they're coming out to face the team that kicked their ass the last week, and they're still doing the Usos.
Yeah.
It was just like, really? These guys kicked your behind. You were bleeding. Your brother got this broken and all of this. Y'all still coming out doing this old happy warrior dance thing. So now they got the different gear. They're looking like some legit badasses that if I see them in the streets, I'm like, okay, I ain't gonna mess with these dudes. Even though they got some pretty hair, I ain't gonna mess with these dudes. So they get my second star. Good job with the Usos. They needed a little refresh. So I'm excited to see how this goes.
And they got him rocking the leather. You know what I'm saying? All right. All right.
The
So.
that crew was hoping that you'd rock some leather, just like the
Oh no, man! I just came from Zumba. I can't wear leather in Zumba class. I'd kill myself. Okay, so my third and final star of the week. You guys probably know where this is going, especially once I say one word, and that's moonsault. My third star of the week. You know what? Let me a little aside. I have to have like a 2B, I guess. If I had a 2B, it would be Chris Jericho just for that drop kick that he hit on Enzo when Enzo was coming off the ropes. Perfect drop kick, and stuff like that from Jericho that keeps Jericho relevant and interesting. Okay, so back to the important thing. Third star, Charlotte. I thought she carried the match on Sunday. That double, that moonsault, that impeccable, perfect moonsault that she pulled off on the pay-per-view, and then her promo on Raw just makes me like Charlotte more and makes me like Sasha a little less, because it's like when they have microphones in their hand, it's like Charlotte's up here, Bayley's here, and Sasha's like down here. And I know people say Sasha has improved, but it's just like her accent, I just can't buy Sasha when she's talking. So Charlotte's the best of the women that are in the division. I think both Raw and SmackDown, she's the best and they have in the company. It was justified her going number 2 overall to Raw. Charlotte gets my third and final star for the incredible work that she continues to put on week in and week out.
I think we definitely need to get Charlotte on the show. We're probably gonna have to tweet her or something, get contact with her manager or somebody, because you guys just love Charlotte. There is a love affair with you guys and Charlotte. It is amazing.
And can I say that, a lot of Charlotte is not that bad looking either. I think she is an attractive woman. I do, notice that, her body has changed from when she was in NXT. She was a lot more cut up when she was in NXT. She had, the ab package going on. Now it's just kind of like, excuse me, probably because, they're on the road and stuff, but her body's kind of changed a little bit. But hey, her work in the ring hasn't. Charlotte is the top dog in the women's division on both shows. Charlotte gets my third star.
All right. You gave this guy kind of like a half a star. I'm going to give this dude a full star. Chris Jericho is my third star because, yes, he tells dad jokes, and dad jokes are corny to the kids. But you know what? I'm a dad now. So I'm all for the dad jokes. I think dad jokes resonate with me at this point. So I find them hilarious. I'm pretty sure my kids find me the same way that a lot of people tuning into Raw find Chris Jericho. So I'm giving my star to Chris Jericho because his banter with Kevin Owens is just great. And the whole getting Ashton Kutcher to come on Raw next week. I'm a fan of Ashton Kutcher. I'm a big fan of Ashton Kutcher.
And you got Hyde and Kelso showing up next week,
Yeah, so thanks to Chris Jericho for bringing a celebrity, well, 2 celebrities, but it's more Ashton Kutcher than Danny Max. It's more Ashton Kutcher. So for him getting Ashton to come to Raw, and for him telling those awesome jokes that dads say, my third star, he gets it.
Good. Hey, that's a good pick. I loved his. Even though I said, they're, he and Owens are pretty corny together. I did like his interaction with Enzo and Big Cass, especially the whole Santa Claus blurb And the way they reacted to it was just classic, comedic styling right there. So your 3 stars were, once again,
My 3 stars were the Brian Kendrick, the Usos, the Chris Jericho. I'm just gonna give them all a "the" in the beginning.
and my 3 stars once again were Tony Nese, Kevin Owens, and the wonderful, the magnificent, the mighty Charlotte.
Well, we are loved in the Flair household. I'm telling you that. And we're hoping all of you love us out there as well in YouTube and Radio Land. So, as we wrap it up, let me remind you once again, you can find us on Twitter at Hit the Ropes. You can find us on Facebook. Just search Hit the Ropes. Or you can just do facebook.com/Hit the Ropes. You can find us now on Instagram. We just opened that the other day. We need more followers so we can get some likes, so you can always know what's going on. So find us on Instagram at Hit the Ropes Radio. You can find us on Lisbon. You can find us on Stitcher. You can find us on iTunes. And remember, when you listen to us on iTunes and you download us on iTunes and you tell your friends to download and listen to us on iTunes, make sure you and your friends and your friends' friends and your friends' grandma and all of them give us 5 stars. We'll big you up on the show.
We need this 5 stars.
Yeah, give us 5 stars, 5 stars, 5 stars, 5 stars, 5 stars. We'll love you forever. You can find me on Twitter myself at Shane184. It's kind of hard. I don't know why my thing won't show properly on the screen, but it's Shane184. Courtney, where can they find you at, brother?
Yeah, I straight up forgot to put on my lower third tonight. But anyway, you can find me on Twitter at blackdad_court. That's black capital B, dad capital D _court. You can also find me on Instagram at chefcourt26. I'm on YouTube. Just search Courtney McIntosh. Facebook, Courtney McIntosh. That's where you can find me, bro. Oh, www.blackdadchronicles.com is my personal blog. I'm black. I'm a dad. It's the chronicles of my life. So that's all the places that you can reach me. So,
all right, ladies and gentlemen, we appreciate you spending your Wednesday night with us, or your Thursday or Friday, whenever you may be tuning into this show. We know you can be anyplace else, but you chose to be with us, so we appreciate that. And until next Wednesday. Until next Wednesday. All right, we are out. Peace out.